The stillness of the lake was my sanctuary. The water shimmered gold under the evening sun, my cabin standing proudly on the shore, quiet and peaceful. But peace doesn't last long when Karen and her spoiled son live down the road. That evening I heard tires screeching outside. Her son, swaggering like he owned the world, stomped up my porch without even knocking. He shoved his sunglasses up, pointed a finger at me, and barked, "We're throwing a party tonight. My mom says your lake cabin is the perfect spot, so pack up and leave. It's ours for the weekend." I nearly laughed in his face. The audacity was unreal. I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, and said coldly, "This cabin is mine. You're not stepping foot inside, and you sure as hell aren't throwing a party here, but entitlement runs deep when Karen is your mother." The kid puffed his chest and sneered, "You don't get it. My mom's on the HOA board. She says you have to let us use it, and if you don't, we'll just take it." That was his first mistake. The second came minutes later when Karen herself arrived, hands on her hips, lips pursed like a dictator about to issue a decree. "This cabin," she declared, waving her arm dramatically, "is exactly what my son needs for his gathering. He's turning 21. We expect you to cooperate as part of this community." I raised an eyebrow. "Expect me to hand over my property for a party?" Karen smirked. "You don't want to be the kind of neighbor who stands against the HOA. We can make your life very difficult." That's when I smiled, because Karen had no idea who she was threatening. I let a silence hang heavy in the air. Then I said slowly, "Go ahead, make it difficult. But remember this, you're playing a game you're not prepared to lose." She thought I was bluffing. She thought her board position gave her power. So, as entitled people do, she escalated. Within the hour, cars started lining the road, her son's friends piling out with coolers, speakers, and enough beer to flood the dock. They strutted right past me like I was invisible, ready to set up a raging party at my cabin. But what they didn't know, what Karen never stopped to consider, was that this wasn't just some random man's cabin. This was my cabin, and I'm not just a man. I'm the chief of police. I let them dig their own graves first. They dragged in kegs, tossed bags across the deck, and cranked up music that rattled the windows. Karen lounged like a queen, sipping wine, shouting orders at me like I was the groundskeeper. "Go fetch some more firewood, and don't just stand there glaring. You're ruining the party." I pulled out my phone, sent one text, and slipped the badge from my pocket. It glimmered in the fading sunlight as I held it up. The music cut off like someone hit a switch. Karen blinked, confused. Her son froze mid-laugh, a beer can halfway to his lips. "That's right," I said, my voice cutting like steel. "You've trespassed on private property, destroyed my deck, and are about to host an illegal underage drinking party. And the kicker? You did it all in front of the police chief." Before they could react, headlights appeared down the road. One patrol car, then another, then three more. The friends who'd been bragging minutes earlier dropped their drinks and tried to scatter. Officers poured out, rounding them up like cattle. Karen screeched, running forward, her wine glass sloshing. "Stop. You can't arrest my son. He's done nothing wrong. This is our cabin now, the HOA said so." I stepped closer, towering over her. "No, Karen, the HOA doesn't own this cabin. I do, and you just led your son and his friends into a federal mess. You tried to take over a police chief's property for a party. That's trespassing, vandalism, and contributing to the delinquency of minors." The color drained from her face. Her son was already in cuffs, whining as officers read him his rights. His friends sat in a miserable row on the dock, heads down. Neighbors gathered at the edge of the property, whispering, recording everything. The queen of the HOA was being publicly dethroned, her crown shattered in front of the entire community. Karen tried one last time, desperation cracking her voice. "Please, you don't understand. We didn't mean any harm. You can't do this to us." I leaned in, my voice low but sharp enough to cut. "You threatened me. You tried to steal from me. You embarrassed yourself, your son, and your neighborhood. And you thought I was just another man to push around. But I am the law here, and when you step on the law steps back harder." The officers escorted her son into the cruiser. She lunged toward him, screaming, but an officer gently pulled her back. Her wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the gravel, the last sound of her crumbling empire. By the end of the night, The dock was cleared, the music silenced, and the cars gone. My cabin stood strong, untouched by their arrogance. Karen's reputation, however, was finished. The HOA board stripped her of her position within the week. Her son faced charges that followed him far beyond that birthday and the neighborhood. They never looked at me the same way again. Now, when I sit on the porch and watch the lake shimmer under the sun, it's quiet again. No threats, no parties, just peace, the peace I earned, because everyone remembers the night Karen's son demanded my cabin for a party, and his mother thought she could back him with the HOA. What they didn't know was that this wasn't just a cabin, it was the police chief's home, and that night entitlement met its match.